When I allowed 150,000 volts to surge through my brain, I witnessed something. These were Nikola Tesla's words, spoken privately and never published. But what exactly did he see in that electrified moment? Was it the mind of a genius conjuring visions, or a profound glimpse into what exists beyond the veil of death? In this video, we'll dive into a little-known chapter of Nikola Tesla's life, an otherworldly experience that placed him on the edge of life and death. You'll discover why Tesla became convinced that the soul is eternal and that death is not a conclusion, but a passage. We'll explore how Tesla's work fused science with mysticism, revealing how his experiments led him to what he described as direct contact with the very core of light. In the early 20th century, Tesla carried out a series of dangerous and cryptic experiments in his Long Island lab. He harnessed massive coils of his own design to generate high-frequency electric fields, crackling arcs of electricity, and voltages far exceeding contemporary norms. Tesla believed these energies could do more than transmit power. They could reach into the subtle depths of human consciousness, memory, and perception. At the time, many considered these ideas insane, but Tesla insisted electricity wasn't merely energy, it was a portal. One night, entirely alone, he connected himself to his invention and let 150,000 volts surge into his head. Rather than blacking out, he claimed to awaken beyond normal perception. His breath slowed almost to nothing. His heartbeat faded, and the world around him evaporated into mist. Tesla said he had entered another realm, one where his physical body no longer confined him, and space and time melted away. He crossed a boundary, and what came next, he couldn't name. Tesla referred to this extraordinary condition as mechanical sleep. His breath nearly halted, his pulse vanished, his body lay inert like a corpse, yet his awareness remained sharp and unusually vibrant. He described a full detachment from the material world, where his physical form felt hollow, while his mind floated freely, no longer tethered to the body. The space around him began to distort, his lab walls stretching endlessly. Time ceased its linear flow, and everything collapsed into one simultaneous experience, past, present, and future fusing together. He no longer knew if he was dreaming, dying, or finally waking from the illusion called life. This wasn't a dream or hallucination. He felt suspended between realms, standing at the edge of a veil that led to something entirely different. Not of this earth, yet more real than anything he'd ever known. And that presence was drawing near. In this eerie and surreal state, where mind and body no longer felt separate, Tesla felt an unmistakable awareness that he was not alone. There were no footsteps, no shape, no breath near him, yet a presence was undeniable. It wasn't animal or human. It had no body, no sound, no weight, just sheer consciousness. Foreign but not threatening, distant yet intimately aware, it felt like a mind embedded in the very air itself, observing Tesla as closely as he examined his own machines. This awareness stirred no fear, but instead sparked a deep, primal alertness, an instinct that something far greater was watching. He attempted to focus and understand its origin, but the harder he looked within, the more apparent it became. This consciousness wasn't separate. It lingered at the edge of his own mind, waiting, not to speak, but for him to ask a question he wasn't sure he wanted answered. As he sought to comprehend the nature of this presence, Tesla experienced a sudden flash, not in his eyes, but within his mind. The space around him dissolved, replaced by a luminous essence that didn't shine. It breathed. It wasn't produced by any device or bulb. This light was alive. It pulsed like it had a heart, a mind, a purpose. It bore no recognizable color, existed beyond visible spectrum or logical explanation. It was both everywhere and nowhere. It didn't speak, but it flooded his mind with sensations, visions, thoughts. Tesla understood. This wasn't mere illumination. It was a being, but not in any physical sense. It needed no body, no voice. It simply existed. It reached the deepest recesses of his awareness, not by invading, but by revealing memories he never knew he had. Knowledge poured into him, not in language but in pure understanding, as though always present and now finally unlocked. This was contact, but not with a human, and possibly not for the first time. After the experience ended, Tesla took time to recover. He never discussed it publicly, fearing ridicule and misunderstanding, but he did reveal it to one confidant, his friend, Mark Twain. Their late-night discussions often wandered into philosophy, satire, and metaphysical ideas. In one of these, Tesla confessed he had seen what others might call the devil, but it had no horns, no tail. It was pure light, an entity far beyond our dualistic concepts of good and evil. In a letter to Twain, he wrote, "I do not believe in the devil of books, but I saw the observer. It does not tempt or punish. It observes, records, offers choices." Tesla explained this being wasn't a judge, but a filter, a kind of cosmic test. It didn't coerce, it simply mirrored. Humans saw themselves through it, and what they did with that reflection was up to them. Tesla found no menace in it, only a necessity. It wasn't evil, it was balance. And perhaps it, not God, determined whether we were ready for truth, for power, or for eternal life. After this revelation, Tesla grew quiet. But in his notes, subtle clues remained. The being, the observer, the light, had shown him more than secrets of life. It had shown him the weight of consequence. In that one moment, Tesla saw that his inventions weren't just brilliant breakthroughs. They were tools that could transform or devastate human civilization. Wireless energy, electrical transmission, brainwave manipulation, and weapons that could erase distance. These weren't just ideas. They were forks in the road. The light imposed nothing, but it showed clearly. In Tesla's mind, a vision arose. One future of clean energy, healing, and unity, and another of war, control, and destruction. And the deciding factor wasn't science, but the soul. Not the power itself, but the will behind it. For the first time, Tesla wondered, had the observer come to warn him? Not to enlighten, but to test, whether he could resist the urge to play God. This realization changed him. He didn't simply wake from mechanical sleep. He fought his way back, like escaping from a void that erased all trace of humanity. His limbs trembled, his heart raced, and for a while he couldn't recognize his lab, or even his own hands. Everything seemed alien, unfamiliar. It felt like being thrown back into a world where he no longer fit. Panic threatened to overtake him, as if reality had shut him out. But slowly, with each breath, he reassembled his awareness. Still, something fundamental had shifted. He became more introverted, withdrawn, not with external inventions, but with internal seeking. His diaries later mentioned hearing strange tones, voices in dreams, and persistent images of light. He couldn't tell whether they were after effects, madness, or a door that had opened and would never close again. Tesla never repeated the high-voltage experiment on his own head, but it forever altered his worldview. His journals began to reflect more than inventions. They included meditations on the soul, light, and what he called the field of consciousness. He wrote that the greatest breakthroughs don't come from calculation, but from another realm. Flashes of insight, mysterious voices. He didn't call this divine, but described it as a web linking all life. And at its center was light. Not physical, but intelligent and ancient. Tesla came to believe death wasn't the end, but a shift in vibration. The body fades, but consciousness continues on a different frequency. Perhaps the light he met was the very realm where memory, spirit, and identity reside. He believed inspiration wasn't personal genius, but transmission. Messages passed from beyond, by those who had already crossed over. All who have lived, he wrote, still live. Not here, but near. As time passed, Tesla withdrew further. He shared little publicly, reserving his deepest thoughts for a few trusted friends. Mark Twain remained one of the few. Their relationship evolved into a kind of spiritual brotherhood. Two men haunted by questions that neither science nor religion could quite answer. In Twain's final days, he visited Tesla often. Rumor has it that during one of these meetings, Tesla finally revealed everything: the observer, the light, the realm beyond physical death. He spoke of seeing soul energy leave the body without vanishing. Twain, stunned, whispered fragments of this story to his daughter on his deathbed. These conversations were never formally recorded, but traces linger in letters, diaries, and the memories of those closest to them. After Twain's death, Tesla grew even more silent. He understood. The truth he had seen wasn't ready for the world. It was too fragile, too easily misused. He believed someday it would return, when we were ready to hear it without fear. After these events, Tesla seemed to disappear, not from the public eye, but inwardly. He continued to work and occasionally speak, but the flame in his eyes had dimmed. He became guarded. World-changing projects were buried or disguised as absurdity. Many of his most powerful blueprints, energy from the atmosphere, machines affecting brainwaves, death rays, were hidden or destroyed. He had concluded humanity was not ready. In his later writings, he hinted that the light hadn't just revealed, it had tested him. And he had chosen silence, not ambition. Perhaps because he knew that placing that truth into careless hands could ruin the world. He died alone in a hotel room. But in the scraps of his journals, the cryptic letters, and strange inspirations that arose in others decades later, there are echoes. That light, which once touched his mind, may still transmit. Not through words, but through vision, memory, and the enduring wave of those who've seen and did not fear. Tesla's ultimate discovery wasn't about machinery or physics. It was about contact with the unknown. Something science can't quantify, something beyond blueprints and devices. He understood that death isn't nothingness, it's a design. Consciousness is a field we return to, like raindrops to the sea. This wasn't religion, but a kind of subtle physics science hasn't yet grasped. Tesla called it light, but it was life itself. It observed, reflected, tested. In it, Tesla saw the real responsibility, not in what we build, but in what we broadcast through our inner state. Through the frequency of the soul. This transformed him. He abandoned fame, fortune, and chose a path of quiet integrity. He realized knowledge without pure intention is dangerous. His journey turned inward. His silence preserved the light. And today, as we start to grasp what he saw, we begin to realize Tesla was ahead not only of science, but of the soul's evolution. He saw death not as an ending, but as a mirror, a moment of truth. and that's why his name still echoes, not just as an inventor, but as a man who touched the light and did not burn. Nikola Tesla left behind far more than futuristic inventions. He left an energetic footprint, philosophical, metaphysical, and timeless. He never claimed to be a prophet, founded no church, and demanded no belief. But he dared to peer where few ever look, into himself, into that space where death and life blur, and only the essence remains. His experience with the light, with the observer, changed him, and maybe altered the path of history itself. The world still isn't ready for what he saw, but we're getting closer. With every question asked, every awakening moment, every soul brave enough to look deeper. If this video made you reflect, support us with a like. It helps awaken forgotten knowledge. Subscribe to After All so you don't miss our next dive into the unknown. Now we ask you, do you think Tesla truly glimpsed another realm? Or was it all the vision of a brilliant, haunted mind? Share your thoughts in the comments.